Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how to use a biro to do some pencil shading, pen shading. Okay, so what I'll do is just show you with a basic circle that we can then turn into a sphere. Okay, so you can have a go at working the two different ways that you can shade with a pen. Alright, so draw your object out nice and lightly, very much like you would do with a pencil. What's really good about drawing with pen is when it comes to the exam board, you can show the exam board, you can show the teachers that you can draw with a pen, but obviously you can't rub it out. So it shows you've got quite a few strengths, okay? So what we'll do is, first of all, I'll show you scribble shading. I personally find this the best way forward when using pen. Okay, so first of all, we can scribble, so obviously the further away the light, so the light is coming from this direction, the further away from the light, the harder I'm pressing on with my pencil. Sorry, pen. And the closer my scribbles are. Okay, now what I find easy as well is, look, I'm kind of trying to curve my shading when I'm going around the edge of the circle. However, you notice when I'm going inside the square, the circle, okay, can you see that my lines, they are actually straight lines? Okay, don't feel that you have to curve your lines around the sphere. If you kind of make sure that you're going over the lines nicely, then you've not got too many steps. The graduated very evenly, so it goes from dark to light quite evenly. Then you'll actually find that you won't see those straight edges. As I'm moving towards the light, can you see I'm taking the pressure off the pen? And hopefully you can start to see that I'm also starting to move my lines further apart. We're using the same pressure as I go over the circle there. And I also find that it's easier to sometimes move the paper rather than the hand that you're drawing with. Right, give it a whirl, see if that works for you. Okay. So hopefully you can see here the difference between the pressures, and hopefully you can also see the difference between the gaps on the scribbles. As I move up, I'm not going to draw a line there. People are always tempted to do so, but if you look carefully at an object, you will actually see that where the light hits the object, you very rarely see the line that completes the object. Have a look. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I need to add more contrast. All right. I want this bit, the shadow, to kind of jump out of the page. I want the sphere to jump out of the page, and to do that I need to darken this shadow here. So I'll just go over, make sure that I'm not pressing on too hard, about the same pressure that you would use when you're writing. And I'm just going to go over any lines that I think should be just that little bit darker. I'm also sharpening up the edge. Okay. Okay, so that's scribble shading. Now what we can do is we draw another sphere. I personally don't work that well with cross-hatching. I quite like the speed of scribble shading. Okay, so you might find that this sphere doesn't quite work as well as that one for me. But cross-hatching is where your lines are very, very close together. And you're just using simple lines. It's a little bit more controlled. And you just use lines in one direction to cast a shadow. taking the pressure off as you get to the other side where the light's coming from. As you move towards the light as well, you'll find that you should be moving those lines further apart. Right, so as I'm moving towards the sphere, the light on the sphere, you can see I'm moving my lines further apart. You see it's all still going in one direction. Get them a bit closer here. I still need to make sure that I don't get any step. Okay. Problem is when you're working with pens, you'll find that the ink kind of gloops at the end. Just get yourself a bit of scrap paper right at the edge if it's appropriate. Just give it a bit of a twist and get rid of that gloop. Okay, what we now do, otherwise you end up with these weird patches. Now what I do is I'll go in another direction. Okay, and as I move towards the light, I take the pressure off and I move my lines further apart. So still going in that same direction, I'm just going to darken the edge of the sphere here. And as I'm moving towards the centre and where it's getting a bit lighter, I'm just kind of like flicking it so it's getting a bit lighter. And I'll do exactly the same on the other side, still going in that second direction. Okay. And now we choose another direction. Right, so this time we'll go horizontal. And as we are moving towards the light, again, taking the pressure off. Okay, so we've got two different examples of how you can use a biro when you're shading. Practice both of those. There is an alternative. I'll do this one a little bit smaller because it does take quite a bit of time. Okay, it is what every teacher loves. It's called Stippling. Okay, and you use dots. And as you move, your dots are really close together. Where it's dark. And as you move towards the light, you spread your dots out quite a lot. It's very hard to apply pressure, lighten the pressure when you're using this technique. So that's why you've got to really concentrate on spreading the dots. So I'm just applying more here where I know it's supposed to be dark. And I'll stop there. You get the general idea. Okay, so where it's dark, you put your light, your stipple marks closer together and further apart where it's supposed to be light. This one's my favourite. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily correct. You can always combine all three.